Good morning, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Medium by Design. Well, you knew it was bound to happen. I got my first very negative comment on YouTube. And feel free to go check it out. I didn't take it down. It's it's on the page with the message from the 9/11 souls. But beyond just the comment, I want to talk about where some people are coming from. So of course my ego feels bruised, and then go into questioning, should I be doing this? But the good way outweighs the negativity. Because those of you that know, at least part of what I know, that the soul never dies, never disappears. And the 9/11 message from those souls is very profound, which is why I shared it. And this is even strange for me. This is not something when I was a child that, as a matter of fact, I wait till I get the Gary Shandling message up, because he was really funny in the first two sentences. Gary Shandling said to me, because he was a Buddhist and he studied a lot of spirituality, and he never had this experience of spirit while he was living. So he said to me, I just have to ask you, when you were little, did you say, when I grow up, I want to talk to dead people? So that's a funny summation of my life, most little boys, I want to be a car mechanic, I want to be a fireman, I want to work on this, work on that. Well, Salvatore, my little 4-year-old Salvatore, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I just want to hang out and talk to dead people. Well, that was not the case. I didn't know. And this is what we all go through, because our souls have an agenda that's very different from our ego. And this is what came up in one of the groups recently. And I talk about this a lot because many people believe that everything that they want is permissible or okay or is all that matters. Well, that's not really true. Some of the things we want are not for our highest good. But how can an ego release what it thinks it knows about how things should be or what we should have? That's a big life lesson. To let the ego relax and let your soul and your connection to God take over. And I was just re-listening, and you might want to, maybe I'll put the link again for this video from last year. It was 17 minutes. It was Where Are We Going? Number 4, part 4. 17 minutes. I just re-listened to it because even I don't have all this information at the tip of my tongue. I write these messages, but I have to kind of re-watch them, re-listen to them, re-read them if they're just in writing and haven't been on a video yet. And there's a lot of wisdom here. So when someone has a rejection to us, like this comment on YouTube, I have to ask my spirit, what's behind this ignorance? Because that's what the comment is. The comment comes from a lack of knowledge and ignoring of the truth. And some people would say, well, the spiritual thing is your truth. It's not mine. Well, it could be yours. Let's face it. If you don't understand that you're connected to all that is, you're the one missing out, not me. So if somebody feels that I'm an embarrassment, that's their projection. That has nothing to do with me. I'm beyond embarrassment. I've already let it all hang out. And this is it, This is what I know at this point, what I'm doing now. It'll change, and then something else will come up, and I'll try something else, and I'll do something else. But the spirit communication, that's going to go on till I die. And I got an insight this morning about this and why I had to go on the internet, because that comes right from Jesus. Jesus is the one that told me to share more. And then Mother Mary, she came in, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And she asked me, don't you believe that this reality needs to be shared so people know that it's possible? And I never really thought about it that way. That people are examples for other people. So hopefully, and I always do talk about inspiration, that I want to inspire people to do more and be more and achieve more and succeed more. But if their lack of wisdom beliefs are holding them back, there's nothing I can do. This information is all here for you, for free. Even though I'm open to receive something back for it, I'm still doing it for free. So that's not easy. How many people go to a job every day and don't take their check at the end of the week? I mean, give me a break. So, so then you have to go beyond. This is why we have the ability of spirit communication, to get insights, to get wisdom in the silence. And I said this once before, even Fred Rogers, one of my favorite souls of my whole lifetime, Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, even he said to Charlie Rose in an interview, what happened to the silence? Because Fred Rogers was a minister at one point. He knows you sit in silence and you get insight, visions, messages, direction. So for people that criticize you, here's the question we want to ask them. And I said this jokingly yesterday, which I would say to the person that wrote the comment, wow, you seem really educated in my field. How long have you been meditating, writing messages, listening to spirit, receiving spirit guidance, and seeing visions? Why don't you share that in the comment? Why don't you share your visions and some of the things that you've seen? And of course, someone criticizing can never do that because they don't have any experience in the thing that they're criticizing. They're afraid of it. And of course, now the 9/11 soul message, that's a touchy subject. That's why I didn't just put it up haphazardly. I put it up because there's so much wisdom from those souls. And I asked for one voice. I didn't want to hear 3,000 voices. That would not be fun. And what they told me was nothing what I thought I was going to hear. That's why it's so profound. That's why most of these messages are profound. These are not things that I know as a little human. These are things the souls know beyond what I know. And that's what the whole spirit movement and studying spirit and sitting with spirit, that's what it's about. It's about learning what you don't know. So here's the thing. If you're comfortable in your not knowing and your ignorance, ignoring the truth, stay there. You have free will. If you're comfortable in your suffering, okay, stay there. It's your choice. I suffered a lot. I had a lot of emotional waves through this lifetime. I still do. But spirit always helps me. Gives me some truth. I was at a group. I had a group last week. And one of the people that I know from a few years ago, she's in a lower experience with other people. And I say lower, I mean some negativity and abuses and things like that. Then this group from this weekend, there was a man that came in and he told his whole victim story. And I didn't expect that. Nobody did. He came in, he had the most brilliant blue eyes. He looked like a really, incredible put together guy. And then he told his story. And we were like, oh my God, he's really living the past. And that is a big problem, because that past will really bring you down. And at some point I said to, oh, I forgot to tell you this. I even had a video call from my cousin. And I haven't seen her in over 30 years. I don't think I have seen her since she got her driver's license. And she was stuck in rage and anger from the past and the ancestral baggage of the family. And then she got me thinking, wow, things really do get passed down from one generation to the next. And it's only up to us to clear it and to be done with it. And I remember Joel Osteen saying something so profound and so simple. Especially in families with abuse and a lot of negativity and alcohol, drug addiction. He said, Joel Osteen said, at some point, someone in the family has to draw the line in the sand and say, this is done. But if nobody does that, if somebody just doesn't do anything to help their own plight, or whatever word you want to say with that, their own suffering, their own emotional brokenness, if they do nothing, and some people can't, I don't want to sound judgmental, some people just can't do anything about it because they don't know any better. Just like the one with the negative comment. They don't know any better. What are you going to do? So, if no one takes a stand and says, we're going to end this now, and moves beyond their addiction or whatever the thing is, or abusive behavior, or being a victim, any of those things, it just gets passed down to the next one, to the next one. Every generation gets to carry the same negative energy. And it doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. If you go back and listen to that part 4 of Where Are We Going? I have an orange shirt on, a pumpkin color-ish shirt. You'll hear the wisdom from these beings that says what the plans for humans was, the intention of the great, of God and the councils that help humans to evolve, who, by the way, we're all connected to. Just to bring it down a couple of notches, these beings are not above or better than us. They just have a different role. And we can use our connection to these beings to make our lives better. I mean, it really is that simple. The information is sometimes hard to hear, like the person with the comment. It was hard for them to hear because, as I said earlier, you have to go beyond the comment, beyond what you hear and see or what they're showing. And of course, if you go to their page, they're not sharing anything. So they're not out there. They're hiding. They're not sharing anything because of their own emotional baggage. So, yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to put all this stuff out in the world and then have to watch and witness more ignorant people come standing up because they feel they have something to say. But, and they have that right. I have a right to share what I'm sharing, and they have a right to not believe. That's fine. But why you would stay on my page when you don't even like what you're listening to, don't listen to it. That's the funny thing about human beings. They're just funny. If I don't like a page, I watch YouTube every day. I find great people on YouTube. I love YouTube. I learned more about cars in the last year. Cars, and the latest thing is I'm finding all these tarot card readers that are really good doing these general readings. And it's fun, I don't know them, they don't know me. and they're bringing out this information, and a lot of it is true. Like, I know this is my life path now, and they're just tapping into it. So now I know what it feels like to get an accurate reading, just like I do with people. I say things that are right on the money, but I don't know that that's true. I'm just following spirit, letting it come through. And I also said earlier, I'm a living example of how strong the connection to spirit can be, to your own soul. And why not strive for that? Now, of course, I was guided, and it was a joke that came up in the group yesterday, or a question. Has anyone been guided to do something that they know they had to do and they didn't want to? Now, that's a soul prodding. And if you haven't had that, man, how did you do it? How did you get through your life and never have a soul prodding that went against your simple desires, but you knew it was something you had to do? I mean, that happens at this age. Let me tell you, it's happened a lot. Now, I'll be very honest with you, because like I said, I spill the beans on my experiences. I can't be ashamed. This is my life. What am I supposed to do? So you have to honor it, right? And I will tell you, there are a lot of times that I got a spirit prodding and I was kicking and screaming like a little brat. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Oh, here's a funny one. Let me tell you this one. Years ago, I had a 1984 Audi 4000S, a little four-door. I wanted to get out of all the debt with cars, and I had a car that had a loan. So I sold the car, I paid off the loan, and with cash, I wanted to buy a car for cash and not have a loan. And I do that. Like now, I don't do debt anymore, and I probably won't for the rest of this lifetime. I just can't do debt. It just doesn't resonate. I don't feel good, being indebted. It just doesn't work. So I just do without. If I can't get something, I just do without it. It's like, until you have the money or somebody gives you that thing, don't worry about it. It's a philosophy. It's a way of living. I'm not telling you to do it. If you feel comfortable with loans and banks and debt, continue to do so. But in my world, that wasn't okay, because to me, it was blocking my spiritual flow. I couldn't do it. My nervous system couldn't do it. So at the time, I got this little Audi, and I loved that car. And it was like $4,000. It was cheap, it was clean, it was very well maintained, but it did have problems. That's why the people traded it in, and I had everything fixed. The transmission actually was going, so I had it rebuilt. But I didn't care, because paid for everything with cash and didn't have any debt. Well, one of my friends at the time, and I wonder where this guy is, his name was Sam. So if Sam ever finds this video, or if anybody remembers, this is going back 1994, this all happened, because the car was 10 years old. And if Sam is anywhere, if he's still alive, I'd love to hear from him, because we had a funky friendship, and he loved that Audi. And he had a Toyota Celica, probably in 1986 or 87, I don't know. Little red Toyota. And Sam doesn't change cars. He had a lot of Taurus energy, so he didn't like change. So he kept that car, and it had 180-something thousand miles. It had a lot of miles. And he wanted to reach 2,000 before he got a new car. So it got stolen. And these stories, you got to laugh with me, because they're so funny, but they're so poignant, because Spirit was trying to communicate with us, and we didn't listen. And this is the point of the story. If you don't listen, you pay the price. And that's the part that I'm tired of at this stage of my life. I don't want to pay for anything. I don't want to pay the price for not listening. That's my simple logic of the whole thing. So anyway, his car gets stolen, and he wants my Audi. Now, I love my Audi, right? I didn't get a prodding to sell my Audi, but he was a Taurus, and that Taurus energy, oh no, I got to have your car. I got to buy your car. I got to have the car. He was relentless, and he was a really good friend at the time. I really liked him, and we had a lot of fun spiritual experiences together. It was really cool. So I sell him the car. First I tell him no, and I help him to find a car, and I find an Audi 5000, a 1984, same year, 10 years old, but this car was gorgeous. And I just fell in love with it, and I said, Sam, why don't you buy this one? But the 5000 was bigger, and Sam was used to his Toyota. He didn't want a big car. He wanted my little 4000. So I sell him my car. I buy the 5000. The 5000 was the biggest lemon I ever owned, and I still loved it. But it cost me thousands of dollars over 5 years. I had that car, and it had so many problems. It never died, though. It never got stuck. It only had 27,000 miles on it, but it was all dried up from sitting. So anything that had rubber or, some kind of rubber boot or some kind of lubricating thing didn't work. The calipers froze. I mean, it was just, suffice to say, it was a problem car. But I love that car. Sam buys that 4000, and within a month, the engine blew. I mean, come on. You have to see the irony of this. The engine blows up. Now, he's not angry because he loves that car, so he gets a new engine. And I continue to fix mine for 5 years. But do you see what we paid? You see what happened? We did not listen. We did not listen, and we both had a tragic experience with cars that cost money, right? And that's what my joke was. I'm tired of paying for everything, right? So if I don't listen and I have to pay the price, and I don't just mean money, I just mean in whatever, you pay the price for things is. And I just remember that so vividly, how funny that was. But I was upset. I was like, oh my God, this car is such a lemon. So, there was a lot to this little message today. Starting out with that negative comment, and then realizing that it's not my problem if people don't believe and they don't want what I have. And that goes for you too. If they don't believe in you and they don't want what you have, then move on. You're not responsible for somebody's lack of wisdom or lack of understanding, lack of love. I mean, a lot of this comes down to lack of love. And a couple of times I briefly touched on what's behind the comment. Well, we know there's got to be grief of 9/11, right? I have grief of 9/11. I can't watch those videos with those towers and not cry. That was a really pivotal moment in the U.S. history. And I was very sad that day. I even remember what happened on that day. I was watching the news. I was in Florida making breakfast. It was 9 o'clock, 9:01. And this is what happened. And that's another drawing the line in the sand moments of life. That was a big moment for younger people that may not have been around. I'll tell you something. A lot of us couldn't handle that day. It was a really, really rough day. And we just didn't know what was going on, And of course, the U.S. had never had an experience like that, So I understand what's behind the comment. I understand. There's the ignorance that is obvious and the lack of understanding, but there's also emotional pain. And with the people that I dealt with this week, the girl that I know from the past, the man that was in the group the other day, and my cousin, they're all dealing with past pain, all of them. And they're miserable because they keep playing out the past pain. So what I liked about the gentleman was he was really trying. He was finding techniques and things that worked for him. So he's on a path, and hopefully he will continue and be free of these emotions, because the whole purpose of these lower emotions is to understand what we're going through at some point, the level of understanding we need, and then ultimately, which I told my cousin, ultimately you have to let go. That is the truth about everything in this life. By the time we die, you should have let go of everything, because then you die free. And that's something that's very important that people don't understand. And the emotions, why would we keep carrying them? And I know about emotions because I've had a lot of negative emotions and carried them for years. You know, I thought of this the other day. I wanted to thank my friends from the past when I was a bitchy, whiny, complaining person. And I don't know how they put up with me. I really don't. I always had insight, but I was always disappointed about the human condition and what I observed with people. Because I didn't understand. I didn't understand where people were coming from. And I thought, why are they creating such shit in their lives? And then I would take that on. And then I helped a lot of people because of that disappointment. I did help a lot of people out of that those observations. And I would jump in and try to be, a help or whatever. But I would jump in maybe inappropriately when they didn't. I really shouldn't have helped them, maybe. I don't want to get into that, but there are some instances maybe I should have taken a step back and left them alone. Let them figure it out. But, these are things that I think about, that I think are important to understand, so that I can keep shedding the past to be everything I can be now. And that, I don't know why more people don't think about this. I talk about Eckhart Tolle, and I know his books are not easy for people to mentally understand because he talks in very, very lofty concepts sometimes. But everything is happening in the power of now. And he was not off when he said that. And that book, The Power of Now, there's a lot in there. And I didn't even read the whole book. But I know, from what I did read, that there's a very simple, if you water the whole thing down, there's a very simple philosophy that you check in right now, here and now, in this moment. How are you? Where are you? And then you go from there. And then you go even further in the power of now, this now moment. You say, what do I need? If I'm not feeling right, what do I need? And that gets really simple because your needs are a lot simpler than all the bullshit that the ego tells you need. That's another thing, that's a whole nother video. If you really get into the now, your needs can be very simple. You might need rest, quiet, a break, food, human connection if you're alone. They're very simple. And once you do that little task and you focus on what you need in the now, all your energy changes. Here's a simple one. You might need to go to the bathroom. How many times have you been out in public and oh my God, I gotta go to the bathroom? Well, the relief that you feel after you go to the bathroom, isn't that pure bliss? Isn't that wonderful? So, just to end on a simpler note, I hope that people can lift up their ignorance and learn the truth. And I really hope they can understand how connected we really are, because when you understand that and you carry that every day, not just in a Sunday service or a wonderful lecture that you go to, when you carry the truth of who you really are and the connection you have and the power you have, your days do turn around pretty quickly. And I'll end on this last story. You know how I have these profound errands, things that happen during my errands. So the other day, I had to go to a Sherwin-Williams store because there's a new cabinet company that they paint any color you want, but you have to use that company colors. So I don't have any account with them. I don't have anything going on with them. So I was guided to this Sherwin-Williams store. There were 3 young men there, and they were so open to a spirit conversation. And I had no clue that my soul had a plan that day. I had no idea. And I was in that store for over 40 minutes talking about spirit, connection, healing, Jesus. And they loved it because there was no agenda with me. I was just like, oh, maybe I can share something with these guys. And they asked. What happens is it's not an agenda-ridden conversation. I'm just being me. And they ask questions. They ask the pertinent questions, and it opens the door. And then they move out of what they don't know into, oh, this guy knows something beyond what I know. Maybe I need a piece of that. And we all just laughed, and they took it all in, and I'm sure some of it was way over their heads, and not really anything they've heard before, but that's okay. You didn't hear them making negative comments, and then the positive stuff, the stuff that they knew in their soul was true, especially the two of the three, there was acknowledgement. So I know they were receiving something, because your soul, when you're listening to the truth, your soul will tell you, listen, this is good for you. This is going to help you. So if anybody watches my videos and you're having a reaction or you're being triggered, it's up to you to ask yourself, what's going on here? Why am I being triggered? And then just go into the simple, I need to release this. And then ask your soul, what's here for me that I really need? And you get your communication going with your soul and your team on the other side. And you listen and let them help you relax your controlling, ignorant ego energy and your personality, and put that to the side, because that is not going to help you really connect to the light that you are. What helps you is any information, any experience in life that opens you up to what you do not know. And then you go forward and you get another piece. Oh, I didn't know that. And you accumulate all this wisdom. And then you share it in your daily life. And you use it. This is the key. You use the wisdom to create a better life for yourself. Because the better your life gets, the better everybody's life gets. We are a pebble in a pond, and we ripple. And that ripple touches everybody because we're all connected. Even the work that you do in private and the peace that you feel in private goes out from your space and can go into the neighborhood and spread out to the world. So if you don't understand energy, this is a great time to wake up to how important the energy you carry is and how you can use it to benefit everything. And these are my facts. This is my reality. This is not my opinion. I've lived long enough to test all this stuff. I see it happening. I see people playing out all kinds of energy, and it's not all positive. So, like I said to my cousin, where's your spiritual practice? How much do you know about energy? Then it turns out she's an empath. So she also is getting a lot of energy from people and experiences and places. She's really good at feeling places, but then she doesn't follow through on what's for her highest good. She puts up with things that are lower energies and more painful. So of course that comes from the past, because in the now, everything can change. That's how fast it can change. So I know this went on for a long time. I hope that I touched some souls out there, and I hope that you feel inspired. And thanks for taking a walk with me. And now go out, use your highest and best energy, and ask for the highest and best energy to meet you today so you can have a great day. And by the way, this video was made July 4th, 2021. So happy birthday to the United States.